Hello my dear students, welcome back to Aditya Tutorials. I'm Rahul. Now we're going to start a new topic, that is structure of atom. So this topic is quite important for your examinations. So if you know better about the atomic structure, it will be helpful for you to predict the valencies, bonding natures and many more things related to the chemical reactions. Okay, this is a basic topic for the atomic structure. Now, the starting point we move, the discussion about the atomic structure we have done already in the previous topic in the some basic concept of chemistry. From there only we start the beginning. So what actually happens? So atom, the word atom is derived from the Greek word that is known as, that is atomio. The meaning of atomio is uncuttable. Any substance that is uncuttable is called as a atomio, that is known as an atom here. So uncuttable, the meaning is non-divisible. Non-divisible. Okay. The attempt to explain the structure of atom is made by the John Dalton. It's the first attempt actually. It is done by John Dalton that we discussed in the previous class or a previous topic. And John Dalton proposed some experimental or scientific basis for the explaining the atomic structure, and the theory of the atomic structure produced by the John Dalton is called as Dalton's atomic theory. Okay, regarded the atom as ultimate particle of the matter. Okay, so the first credit go to the John Dalton for the explaining a few important properties of the atom. And the one of the important the postulate of the John Dalton is atom is non-divisible. Non-divisible. This is quite challenging, that atom are non-divisible particles. So this is a challenge taken by the J.J. Thomson, and he conducted a experiment, and in that he divided the atoms into a subatomic particles. So let's see the discovery of electron, that is a subatomic particle, that is a discovery of electron first. Okay, so here is the title, the discovery of electron. Okay, so what actually happened in this? The electrons are discovered by discharge tube in a partially evacuated tube known as a cathode ray discharge tube. Here is a diagram. This is the cathode ray discharge tube. So this small line indicate that this is a positive part, that is a negative part of the battery, and this negative part of the battery is connected to an electrode, and that there is a negative charge is present. Here it is, negative charge. The large line indicate there is a positive part of the battery and it is connected to a electrode here, and this carries a positive charge. And because of that reason, the negative part connected to an electrode, and that electrode is known here as cathode electrode. And here the positive part of the battery connect to a negative electrode, or you can say that any of the electrode, that is known as anode electrode. Okay. Now initially there is a 1 atm pressure is present, and it is reduced by connecting this tube to a vacuum pump. Here it is inlet. So from this you have to take out the air which is present in the discharge tube, and therefore it is connected to vacuum pump. Vacuum pump. Okay. Now these two electrodes are connected to a battery, and that should be a very high voltage battery. High voltage. And the side of this tube, I just take some other color here. This part of the tube is applied with the fluorescent. I will mention here. This is called as fluorescent. Fluorescent coating. So what is the purpose of fluorescent coating here? If there is any charged particle hit the fluorescent coating, it start glowing, it emits the light. Okay, now see how the experiment is gone here. Now what happens? A cathode ray tube is made up of a glass containing two thin pieces of metal. These are the two pieces of metals called electrodes, and this entire tube is sealed in it. The electric discharge through a gases could be observed only at the low pressures. Okay, so whatever the discharge is there, that can be seen only in the low pressures, not in the high pressures. And because of that reason, you have to take out the whatever the air is present or the gas is present in the tube through a vacuum pump. And the whatever the discharge is occurred, that is done only in presence of high voltage. Okay, the pressure of different gases could be adjusted by evacuation. If you take a hydrogen, that produces a different pressure here, oxygen produce different, or that is pressure, helium produce different pressure. According to the type of the gas you are using, you have to maintain the low pressure by applying the to the vacuum pump. When a sufficient amount of high voltage is applied across the electrode, the current start flowing. Okay, current start flowing through the circuits, and a stream of particles moving in the tube. Some particles are moving in the tubes. Okay, from negative electrode, this is the negative electrodes, and these are the particles, and these particles are moving towards the positive. Okay, so stream of particles moving in the tube from negative electrode to the positive electrode, that is cathode to anode. Cathode to anode. These were called as cathode ray because they are produced at the cathode electrode. These whatever the particles are there, these particles are called as cathode rays because they are producing at the cathode and moving towards the anode. The flow of current from the cathode to anode was further checked by a pinhole in the anode and the coating the tube behind the anode with the fluorescent material, and this fluorescent material is made by zinc sulfide. Okay, so it means that these particles are producing at this point at the cathode and they are moving towards the anode and they are colliding with the surface of the glass here, and they are also colliding with the positive part of this electrode, and then they are colliding with the fluorescent screen and creating here a glow or the light. When these rays pass through the anode, strike the fluorescent material, that is zinc sulfide, and these rays after passing through the anode strike the zinc sulfide coating. A bright spot means there is a glow is appeared. Okay, some of the results we can list out here in this experiment. The first point, that is, here I am going to write, the cathode rays start from the cathode electrode. The cathode rays produced at cathode electrode. This is the first observation, and they move towards the anode. Okay, this is the first point we observe here. The second part is these rays themselves are not visible. These are very minute particles, therefore they are not visible. They can be made visible by the help of certain materials like fluorescent or phosphorescent, which glows when they hit by them. Means that cathode rays are invisible. They are not visible. So they can be made visible with the help of fluorescent. Next part, the absence of electric and magnetic field, these rays travel in a straight line. This is quite interesting. So this part I will write here. So this is a particle, the moving here. They move in the straight line. Cathode rays move in straight line. straight line. Next one is quite interesting. If I apply here magnetic or electric field, assume here the ray, this is a ray and moving in this direction. Here is a positive part and here is negative part of the electrode, or assume that there is a S and N magnetic field is there, and these particles, when they enter into the electric or the magnetic field, they are deviated towards the positive part of the electrode, means they travel towards the positive part and they get deviated from its straight line. This indicates that these particles are negatively charged. Negatively charged. And therefore, we're going to write here next point, that is, in presence of electric and magnetic field, in electric and magnetic fields, these particles deviates towards positive part, towards the positive. It indicates that they are negatively charged. They are negatively charged. Okay, one more point is there that we have to observe here, that these the characteristic of cathode ray, that is particularly negatively charged particle, do not depend upon the materials of the electrode and the nature of the gas. So it means that whatever the nature is there, means the extent of deviation in the electric and magnetic field, the speed, whatever the properties are there with the cathode rays, they are not dependent upon the type of the gas you are using. Assume that you can use here the hydrogen gas, you can use here helium gas, you can use your oxygen gas, you can use a methane gas, any of the gas you can use. Okay, but the property of the cathode rays, it is not depend upon the quantity and the type of the gas you are using. This is a fundamental particle which is present in all the molecules of the gas. So therefore, I can write here, the properties are not depends. The properties are not depends. It depends on nature of gas, nature and type of gas, So it concludes that in all the molecules, in all the gases, in all the molecules and the gases, that is electrons are the fundamental particles. Okay, and one important thing is here, when a small wheel is kept in the path of the cathode rays, the wheels start rotating. This means that these cathode rays are material particles. It means that they have a mass associated with the kinetic energy, that is half mv square. That means that these particles hit the pinwheel and they start rotating here. And they are also producing here fluorescent, means they are charged particles. And these are the some observations which are made from the discharge tube. Okay students, hope you understood this. And in the next part, we will discuss the charge to mass ratio of electron. Okay students, now I am going to discuss the charge to mass ratio of electron. This can be studied with the help of the discharge tube. This is the extended part of the discharge tube. First, I will explain what are the things are there in the diagram. So this is the battery. We are using here high voltage battery. This is negative terminal of the battery, and this negative terminal of battery connected to a electrode, and this electrode is called as cathode electrode. This one is called as cathode electrode. Okay, now this one is called as perforated anode, because this is the positive part of the battery and this is connected to a electrode here, and this electrode is called as anode. This is anode, but there is a little change is there. This anode is porous, means in that there are some little holes are there. Okay, so therefore it is called as perforated anode. Now assume that here the very strong electric field, this is a green colored electrodes, are the strong electric fields, and this dotted spherical line indicate that magnetic field. or magnets around the tube. Okay, and this part of the tube is applied with a zinc sulfide, ZNS, and that is a fluorescent screen. Okay, so let's see here. It happens in 1897. J.J. Thomson measured ratio of electric charge, that is E, and the mass of the electron, that is ME, and it is found that it is a constant value, and this is calculated by using cathode ray tube, applying electric and magnetic fields perpendicular to the each other and also the perpendicular to the path of the cathode rays. Okay, so first thing, let's understand that the importance of this experiment. Now assume that when you connect the circuit, the cathode rays are produced. Assume that there is no electric and magnetic field here. In the absence of electric and magnetic field, the cathode rays travel in a straight line, and the incident at the point B. This is the point where the cathode rays strike the surface or fluorescent surface in the absence of electric and magnetic field. Now we'll apply only an electric field. In presence of electric field, we know that the cathode rays are negatively charged, and because of that reason they are deviated towards the positive part of the electrode. And for that, now I will change the color of the ray. Now the ray is moving here, and at this point it is affected by electric fields, and now it is get deflected and incident at the point A. The spot A indicate that the cathode rays are deflected towards the positive terminal of the electrode. Now turn off the electric field. Now turn on the magnetic field. In presence of magnetic field, the cathode rays are deviated towards the magnets and incident at the point C. This is a total experiment. But here we have to remember few points. First thing, the amount of deviation depends on few factors. The first one, we consider on the cathode ray only, or cathode particle, or the electron. In the electron we have two parts. The one is its charge. Second one is its mass. If the electron associated with a greater charge, then greater deviation. Similarly, if the electron is associated with a higher mass, then smaller deviation. The second point is related to the electric and magnetic fields. Higher the electric or magnetic strength, then greater the deviation. On that basis, we can conclude few things here. You can see in a diagram, by applying the electric field, the ray deviates towards A. By applying a magnetic field, the ray deviates at C. By careful balancing electric and magnetic fields, we have to bring back the cathode rays to incident at the point B. Okay, so now when only electric field is applied, I will repeat once again, when only the electric field is applied, electrons deviate from their path and hit the cathode ray at the point A. Similarly, when only magnetic field is used, electrons strike the cathode ray tube at the point C. By careful balancing electric and magnetic fields strength, it is possible to bring back the cathode rays or the electron to the point B. Okay, by carrying out accurate measurement on the amount of deflection observed by the electrons on the electric field or the magnetic field strength, the charge by ratio can be calculated as here, that is E divided by M. E is equal to, this is 1.758882 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg. This is very important value. From this value we can able to calculate the charge of the electron. Okay, that we can calculate as here. We know that here we know that the charge of the electron is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Capital C is the unit for the charge. The present accepted value of the electric charge is, that is 1. That should be with minus sign, 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. It's the present value. The mass of the electron was determined by the combining these results with the value of E by M ratio. We know that mass of the electron is equal to E divided by, that is E by M ratio. That is charge, we know that this is 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19, and that should be divided by the value we have here, E by M ratio, that is 1.75882 into 10 to the power of 11, and then we get here 9.1094 into 10 to the power of minus 31 kg. This is the mass of electron. Hope you understood this, students. In the next video, we're going to discuss the discovery of protons and the neutrons. Thank you for the watching.